Hi everyone! So No Rest for the Wicked has finally launched in early access last night and I went in to try it out. This is not a sponsored video or anything, I just want to give my impressions and my thoughts about the game. A lot of people were watching me last night, a lot of people have questions about this game, so I want to try to clear that up a little bit. So I played this for like 7 hours straight or something. I had a really good time, I gotta say. There are some quirks of the game, but generally it's pretty good. However, one thing that you need to know before you start this game is this is called an ARPG, and a lot of people think about stuff like Diablo and PoE when they hear that term, but this is much closer to actually a Souls game, like a Dark Souls or an Elden Ring, but with an isometric view. There are definitely some elements that remind a little bit of these other games. For example, the loot has like, for example, rare loot and kind of corrupted loot, a bit like rare items from PoE or something like that. I can show you an example here. My weapon, for example, has like, 3 random affixes that gives me like a focus regeneration and health on kill, but also has a negative with a minus 20% health. So that's like one of those kind of corrupted items. I'm not sure what I call it exactly. Here's like a rare item that has like 2 stats and so on. So there is a bit of a loot system, and also like the enemy like respawn system seems to work like it's like a bit of like a dynamic world basically, where you can go out and can do quests, and then eventually monsters come back and then you can farm them again, you can level up and so on. So it is a bit like an Elden Ring, but mixed with like Diablo elements, so to say. And the difficulty of this game is actually very high, and the progression is very slow. You see here right now, after playing like 7 hours, I am like level 9 on this game. So it goes very slowly, but the progression is actually very fun, so I really like that. And in terms of combat, it is actually really cool as well. So if you have played any like Dark Souls games, you have like very much like back and forth, and like individual monsters are actually dangerous and you have to play around them. Here's an example of like the first boss from the first zone. Basically it's like the final boss of that zone, and it's basically like a Dark Souls boss fight. You have to dodge the abilities, you have to try to time your moves so that you don't get hit by whatever he throws at you, and they have very large hit pools. So this was actually really fun. I took down this boss actually first try. That was kind of cool. And yeah, you see this is actually quite a long fight as well. So my character was kind of weak here, I guess. I'm not sure, like I'm a complete noob in this game, so there are probably things I can do better to like gear up and boost the power of my character as well, but I managed to do it anyway. And then he also dropped some big loot. So here you see, for example, this guy dropped like a rare 2-handed sword. I'm not sure if this is like a special boss drop or something, maybe with randomized affixes. But some of these items can actually look pretty crazy if you look at this here, compared to basically just wearing white items that I was doing until that point otherwise. So most of my gear is actually just like kind of white items or something, but then sometimes you can find these crazy items here. And as far as I know, there is going to be some endgame system where you can actually kind of like, level up to max level and then eventually kind of grind out monsters and get better loot, and I'm not sure exactly what is going to come. As I mentioned, this is early access. It doesn't have all that much stuff yet in the game, and I've also not even finished what it has. So we'll see, and I might do like a follow-up video. In terms of controlling my character, I actually do this with mouse and keyboard. So this is a game that is probably mostly supposed to be played with controller, but it does work with mouse and keyboard, and you can kind of just like walk with WSD, you can sprint, and you can like roll. It has like this dodge roll basically, it has like a stamina bar. So everything you would expect from a Souls-like game basically. And also here on the bottom left, you can see like you see different weapons, you can choose between them, you can have consumables, there's like a bunch of stuff here. And yeah, there's also like lots of other interesting little things, like you can kind of like build the town up here, for example. So I'm currently in like the main city that comes after the first area basically. This is called Sacrament. And there's like lots of vendors, and there is also kind of like building projects you can do, for example, to build shortcuts between different areas of the town, and I don't know what else. So apparently you can like kind of like rank up the vendors in the town, and you can even have like your own little like hideout or something. So that sounds kind of cool. I have not actually been able to do that just yet. But there's a lot of like RPG elements in this game as well. It's kind of like slow paced. Like I was just literally walking around in this town for like half an hour, talking to NPCs, exploring the town, and taking a quest here and so on. So this is kind of how it goes. It's kind of like slow pace, very slow paced, because as you see here, this is like the entire map I've explored so far. This is just the town area, which is like a third of the map I have explored, so there's not even enemies here. And this is the starting zone. And well, I spent, I don't know what, 2 hours in this zone alone, basically. It's like a fog of war game. This is part of this dynamic respawn system. So kind of like, you know, the cleared areas slowly become uncleared, basically. But these zones are actually fairly small, but you spend a lot of time kind of going around. And also the level design is really cool. Where, for example, like, you know, I start here, I don't know, somewhere on the beach, I think. And then I explored up here to the right, and then I was kind of like stuck there, and I went all the way down here, and I found like a little cave there, and then I had like some monsters on the way, and then I found like a tower, I climbed it, there was like a big dude here that I fought for like a few minutes, and then, you know, I cleared that area, and then eventually I came around, and there was like a ladder I could kick down, and then I could make a shortcut between like this area that I found like 2 hours earlier, and, you know, where I had arrived at that point, and you can kind of like, you know, clear different parts of the zone sometimes. And you can kind of come back and then, you know, have a shortcut, or like, you know, pull down a bridge, and then you can use that bridge to traverse and so on. So it's kind of cool how you like unlock multiple parts of the zones, and the zones are actually very small but very packed with a lot of stuff, basically. There's two negatives that I want to mention here as well, which is that first of all, the game doesn't seem to be that optimized with FPS. You can see this here in the top right corner, for example. I have like 30 FPS, sometimes even less than that, and a lot of people are kind of upset about this when they play games. Personally, it doesn't bother me that much, but of course, you know, I'm streaming and there's people watching this and they see, oh, this looks kind of bad with the FPS. I imagine this is probably just part of the early access. This is literally day one, so I expect stuff will get optimized better, stuff will get, you know, stuff will improve with FPS in general. I think this is something that they're probably going to be working on with a high priority anyway. But for now, at least, you know, I didn't really experience any like major bugs. I didn't experience any crashes or anything like that. So the game was actually functional. So that's kind of good. And the FPS is a bit low on like on the bad side here, but we'll see. And another thing that I kind of dislike about the game is that it's very focused on gathering items. So you can, you know, find consumables, you can find ingredients to then, you know, cook food. And then you can, you know, you can chop wood, and then you can take that wood back and you can construct stuff, and you can take a pickaxe and, you know, mine ore. But you actually do that quite a lot. So I don't really mind doing that, but here's an example. So, you know, there's like an ore vein, and you kind of want to just like grab it and try to get some iron ore, for example, to then take back to town and maybe upgrade your weapon or something like that. And I feel like there's a lot of gathering going on, especially for food. Because at least when you're not like an expert at the game like me, you take like damage, and then food is like a consumable resource basically that you use to heal up, because there's no passive healing, there's no passive regeneration. So you can either just die and respawn at full health, which is not really cool, or you can try to eat food basically. And if you get hit from time to time, you have to eat quite a lot of it. So these monsters actually hurt, and well, it's kind of a struggle sometimes. So this is what I noticed, at least. Maybe I'm just kind of like too underleveled, and I'm supposed to like level first and get a bit stronger. I did notice that, you know, even getting like 2 level ups or something like that made the game significantly easier in the area I was playing. And I think there's always kind of like a indicator here on the top right. It says, you know, nameless pass, that's the name of the zone. And then it says dangerous. So I guess this means that I'm like somewhat underleveled. And I think before that it said something else, like deadly or something. So when there's like really high level monsters, it has like a bit of a different denomination. And for example, when I was in the starter zone, it said safe. So even though there are enemies there, they were somewhat easy. So I guess this might also just be that I just progressed too fast to like the next zone. Like the first time I walked into this nameless pass, for example, I was like level 5 or something, or level 4. And the first trash monster just completely wrecked me. And then I kind of played around that, got a few level ups, and it noticeably improved. So I guess this is also just like me not, you know, having a great idea of the game yet, and how everything, you know, is supposed to tie in together and how the progression goes. There are a lot of like side contents, side quests. You can collect like bounties, and then you can go and seek out certain enemies and, you know, farm those bounties to get a bunch of currency, for example, that you can use on the vendors. You can try to upgrade your gear. So there's a bit of a progression path forward in case you feel too weak. You can level up, you can improve your stuff, you can try to gather stuff. So even if you are, you know, having trouble actually getting away through the game, you can, you know, take a bit more time, explore a bit more, farm some stuff, and you're gonna be better off. So there is a way around that, even for players that are not like Omega God gamers in Souls games, basically. But I do have to say, this isometric kind of Souls-like combat is actually kind of cool. So I really like kind of dancing with the monsters and, you know, trying to dodge their stuff, sometimes parry them, and then you have like, you know, a cool combo. You can break their poise, and then, you know, they are stunned. You can kind of stagger enemies as well. So that actually works pretty well. And with the camera angle, it doesn't really take away from the game, I feel. So it does feel a little bit like, you know, playing with some super hard, like Diablo 4, basically. But yeah, you have more the Souls-like combat, basically. It's kind of hard to explain because it has some elements that come more from Souls and some elements that come more from ARPGs. So it's like somewhere like in between with a mix of both. And this is really what this game is about, I feel. Also, there are no classes in this game. You just create a character, you can customize it a little bit, and then can create a realm, which I guess is like this world basically for that character. And I'm not sure if you can like make another realm on another character and then, you know, switch between them or something. And also, I think eventually it's going to be like multiplayer. So you're kind of supposed to like invite players to your realm, and they can all contribute for, you know, changes in the world. And I guess there are like permanent changes you can make. For example, I talked about the building projects in the town. This is something that I guess multiplayer comes in, which is not in the game yet, but is supposed to come in the first update. So I guess, I don't know, in a few weeks or a few months or something, it's going to be a big patch, and they're going to bring multiplayer, and then we'll see how that will work exactly. In general, though, I'm quite excited to jump back in for more and see if I can finish at least this chapter 1 of the game currently. Maybe I'm gonna make a second character, try it again with like all the knowledge I have gathered, because there's actually like a pretty like steep learning curve there. At least that was for me, with like just understanding how the monsters work, how the items work, and how you can upgrade them, and so on. So there's like a lot of stuff to learn, and I might even make some guides for this game, so we'll see. For now, this is what I got here. It was kind of fun trying it out. I can recommend you guys to try the same. I had some people asking me for like an affiliate link. There are like some streamers that have like a link and can get like a bit of a discount for the game. I don't have that, unfortunately, but I recommend you just go check out, you know, some of the other streamers that I've mentioned. There's Rax, there's Scissoran, I think Riker as well. So most of those guys I know at least, and just use one of their links, I guess, if you want to try to get the game for a bit cheaper. Otherwise, there are also Twitch shows right now, so I'm streaming the game. You can go check them out there and, you know, just watch me, ask me stuff, or here on YouTube as well. I'm streaming on YouTube as well. And yeah, let's just see how this goes. So this is what I'm planning to do for the next few days. Hope you enjoyed my little like first impressions review video here. There might be more coming. So let's see, and hope you like this one, and see you guys next time.